Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to review History You Know. History of 1967 and 1968.
The reason why is that I couldn't find much on each one. So we just combined 67, 68.
Yeah, it's not that there's less history. It's just that there's less, we lost our newspaper and a lot of the sources.
And other things, you know, they couldn't find much.
So Lake City's history has not been chronicled as well from this point forward. And so, but we do mostly anyway.
No, 69. 69.
My school teachers were those years.
Well, okay.
69 we have a bunch.
Yeah.
69 we have a bunch.
We'll see. Next time we'll be 69.
We'll do it.
And once again, I want to remind you that this is being brought to you by the Dollar Moore Foundation, which is a part of the Lake City Creative Alliance, the Continuum, and you, the members of the Historical Society.
Okay.
So we thank you very much for coming tonight. All right.
All right. Hang on.
And on we go.
Okay.
Now this was, Wilbur Brown is now the mayor.
Yay!
Hey! And the councilman, Edward Bowen, Ariel McAveen. Yeah, whole family. I mean, nepotism.
That's it. That's what it was.
Rogers Nettles, Jim McAveen, Bobby Whitehead, and Charles Cotton.
It's not working.
Cotton Tomlinson, excuse me. Okay.
Okay. Says it's on.
And the music. Top one was To Sir With Love. Came from the movie, as you recall, The Letter by the Box Top. Ode to Billy Joe, Wendy, I'm a Believer, Light My Fire, Something Stupid, Happy Together, Grooving, and Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. That was a great period for music.
Yeah.
Great songs.
You make me want to sing the opening line of all those songs.
We just about could. Yeah, exactly. Now, the movies. We've got a list of the top 10 plus the others that came out that year. But Cool Hand Luke was number one. Yeah. The Graduate, Bonnie and Clyde, In the Heat of the Night, Dirty Dozen, The Samurai, Jungle Book. Oops, it's supposed to say, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Yeah.
And You Only Live Twice, Don't Look Back, and Wait Until Dark.
And got some more.
Well, we do. But this was a particularly good year for movies because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember just about all of these.
Yeah.
You know, one I did not see was In Cold Blood. I just didn't want to see it even then. That was the Truman Capote book that got turned into a movie about the murder in Kansas. So, yeah, a little bit too hard for me.
Okay.
And the Cars.
Yeah.
Look at those things. I still love that Shelby Cobra. Not one I could have ever afforded even then, but what a car. They only did this for another year or so. This was the one with the English bodywork, but with the Ford engines in it. They discontinued it after this year. There were a couple of others that are really interesting for a lot of different reasons. I always love this Volvo 122. It's an ugly car, but it lasted forever. You just about couldn't destroy that thing. And then, if you look down, the Z car, the Z movie car in the bottom right left-hand corner, this was a special-made car. It's called the Monkeys Mobile. It was inspired and intended for the pop group, the rock group, the Monkeys. What the guy did is took two Pontiac GTOs and smashed them together, basically. It's got a convertible top, a rag top on it. And the Gyro X
Yeah.
two-wheeler.
Had 2 wheels on it.
Yep. The company that made this went out of business shortly after this. But this car, believe it or not, will go 125 miles an hour. The only way it was able to do that is it had an internal gyroscope that made it stable. It would take, you could bank it 40 degrees and not lose it. It was extremely stable. Of course, they talked about how economical it would be because you only had 2 wheels, among other things. And it was an 80 horsepower engine in it. I don't recall where they got it from, but
How
yeah.
many people could sit in there?
Huh? Just one. Just one.
One death.
They claimed it would do 125 miles an hour, but the reports were that when it got around 70, it began vibrating just a little bit too much, so they never reached that speed.
Okay.
And here are some of the news events from that era, just to kind of take you back, if you will. That you can see the Concorde up there. Flies from Paris to New York in a little over 2.5 hours. The
Come on
these
in.
were the spacewalkers. It's the next year. Okay, Borman flies. Notice in the bottom left, that model is from Anderson, South Carolina. She is doing a fashion show on the Atlantic coastline train as it goes between Washington and Florida. So keep the guests entertained, but also notice the dress. I mean, even then, here we go, traveling by train, and he's got coat and tie. I mean, this formal dress. This truly was another era.
Yeah.
And then you've got the photo of John McCain. It says he was captured in '67, and he was in prison when they took this picture of him. And then we got the Boston Marathon when some officious fellow decided women should not be running, and so he tries to take her out of the race.
Yeah.
And the other runners gang up on the official and make sure that she can complete the marathon.
And then the spaceship.
Yeah, and the Montreal Expo. Kent and I went to that.
Yeah.
It was really neat.
Yeah.
And of course the race riots. That was the year that LA burned and Detroit burned and so many other places.
Did you talk about
The Concorde?
the capsule?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
These
Ed White.
Ed White, Roger Chaffee, and Virgil Grissom were all killed in a fire on the Apollo crew in January of '67.
Yeah. This is right before, or a year before, Neil Armstrong walked on the moon.
Now, this is really strange. Mrs. Williams, who many of you remember, Dr. Williams, Asbury Williams' mother, got paid a doctor's bill owed her husband after 30 years for the delivery of a baby. Now, 30 years, and the guy said it took him so long because he couldn't afford it. Now, you talk about poverty. This poor soul suffered for a long time. But I'm glad he finally found a way to pay that $25. And the A.B. Dick plant comes to Lake City. Opening to guided tours. And this is right after they have, well, no, it's the first step
Yeah.
before they've expanded it into its full size. 165 square feet was the plan.
The electronics was in there before.
Yeah. All right, and this is Carter Manufacturing. You know, back in '67,
Yeah.
we had a fire there. They've had quite a few fires, haven't they, Harris?
Had 3. Yeah, 3 fires.
I
Yeah.
had one just a few years ago. Was it last year?
Yeah, the plant
Yeah,
burned
yeah.
out completely twice. So this was one where it got the main part of the plant. There was one back there in 40, I think it was 41,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that whole plant.
yeah.
Last one, they lost the dry kill and all, a few months back.
Yep.
But they didn't lose the whole plant this time.
But it's kind of interesting to read about it, you know, the article, because it tells a fair amount about what Carter Manufacturing did and how they did it.
Yeah.
You know, 500,000 feet of raw material, hardwood and pine every year. That's a lot of wood. Of course, if you pass by there, and I do almost every day, you can see there's a lot of wood there, even now.
So are they still open for business?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're still making baskets.
Yeah.
That's to make now used by crabbers.
They what?
Crabbers, and make that use, they use the old bushel basket.
Uh-huh.
You go to the tub, they pack crab in it. That's
Yeah.
that's where his whole market is now.
Oh.
Okay. And here's the next week. Actually, this is a month, next month. They talk about rebuilding it.
It's amazing how long it takes somebody to build something today. But the next month, they started building again.
Yeah.
And they were in operation by the time tobacco season, produce season started, which was April and May.
Yep.
So,
And this is what you said.
amazing.
2 fires, 28 and in 43, and now again in 67.
But now you had so many regulations and inspections, you know. So,
This reminds us that we live in a different era.
yeah,
This is when the city went in to buy a bus for the school. And if you read down, they had done just the year before, the city had bought uniforms for the band. Anymore, we let the government do all that. We don't
Yeah.
participate that much anymore in these sorts of activities. But it became a community effort to raise the money for the new bus. I wish we were a little bit more community oriented today than we were back then, as we were back then.
I remember one year that I was the president of the Booster Club when I was at high school. And we had to raise money. We had to raise money to buy an activity bus.
Really?
And we had to knock on doors and everywhere just to get the money.
We had activity bus, that we got it about 49 or 50.
Yeah,
I think you could buy one back there for about $3,000. And I think most of the students were all, we sold all kind of things. I can't remember what we did, but we gathered some money for it.
yeah,
I think it was, I think
Well,
the school bus body.
Lake City used to have a lot of clubs like the Lions and Rotary, and that would kind of manage
Yeah.
these fund drives for the community. And so unfortunately we've lost most of them. Okay. And here we go. Lake City win the PD Conference Championships, the Lake City girls. The scores, I guess we're still playing half court. How else do you explain the score? I mean, it was 9-5 at halftime.
Yeah.
That was a low-scoring game.
You know, at USC now, the girls, the women, score 100 points a game. You know?
This is the winning the PD conference, as you note in the last line, is that Wesley Floyd said that Darlington had beaten them soundly twice during the season. But come conference time, Lake City figured out a way to beat them. And here they are, the champions. Now, I got to admit, I was gone, so I don't know very many of these people. Some of them I do.
Well, there's two of them, Sharon's sisters.
Yeah, she's on the back row.
Yeah,
You know,
there's Susan, and then Sheila. Sheila's on the end. Yeah. It's a player.
And of course, I do see Nancy Wilson on there. If I'm not mistaken, she went on to become the coach at University of South Carolina.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
a winning coach.
Yep.
Yeah. She's on the back row.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Sharon had to take a picture.
And here are the boys.
There's the boys.
We don't have any little script around it, so I guess they didn't win the championship. So
Of course, we lost Alan Welch.
just recently. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, let me back up.
Jim Tommy.
Yeah, Jim Tommy. Spencer Dixon. He's Jane Player's brother. And Mike Gaskins was the principal. He at the high school for a while. Randy Flanagan.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, here they're working on the old junior high school, which is right in front of Kent's house.
Yeah.
At this point, this is was the old high school before they
East Main Street.
built J. Paul
Elementary
Trullo.
school.
So it's the old
East Main, built East Main Elementary School.
elementary.
Down the street.
And they renovated the building itself, a new shop building, the gymnasium, and the ag building that was behind the gymnasium.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting what they did a lot of work, you know. Where the balcony? I don't recall the balcony. You do? In the auditorium, in the big auditorium?
Yeah.
What was the Times Herald newspaper?
And
Do what?
yeah.
What was the Times Herald newspaper?
That was the Lake City paper they combined at that point.
I don't even remember the News and the Post.
Yeah.
60s.
It was about five or 6 years.
That is the old gym. That goes way back to the 30s.
Yeah.
It was
1938.
Yeah.
It was built.
It was It was an interesting gym, you know, particularly how they separated the bleachers from the court, from the basketball court.
Was
Yeah,
that on East Main Street?
Yep,
yeah,
it was. It was truly a community center. I mean, they had all kinds of events in there. I remember doing Halloween,
yeah.
you know,
And
events in
underneath the stands, that was the locker room. So JB football. Yeah,
And in the very back was the band room.
yeah, yeah,
But behind that, there's a separation, and that was where the FFA and all the agricultural, the workshop, was in a separate little building behind the gym.
yeah.
And here, Lake City is going to participate in a new conference, 6AA. And you can see that the schools are going to be Andrews, Bishopville, Furman, East Clarendon, Hannah-Pamplico, Hemingway, Hillcrest, Kingstree, Lake City, Lamar, and Manning, Maywood, and Timmonsville.
And this will be the last of the PD conference. Because of the fact is, if you won the PD conference, you couldn't go anywhere else. Now, if you're in a conference like this, you could go to the state.
Yeah, here it's graded by size of school,
Yeah,
where before it was just how close are you, can you drive there? So Lake City competed with schools that were much larger, like Darlington, at that
Yeah.
time.
Jane, where was Furman?
oh yeah.
Yeah, I believe that Furman is over near Sumter, but I'm not
Yeah,
absolutely sure.
yeah, it's over there at Sumter, near Sumter.
And this is one of those unfortunate things. I guess I never knew we had a fatality out at the airport. I didn't know Willie Joe Prosser. He was about 33 at that time. This is 67, so he would have been born in 34. Is an insurance agent.
He was in my class.
He was? So you knew him. But it's interesting when you read the article, you realize he probably did not ask permission to fly this plane, because the owner, K.G. Smith, had warned and had a warning note in it that there was something wrong with it. But Willie decided to take off anyway with a friend.
Yeah,
The friend Elijah Pickens. And they apparently only got a couple of miles before they crashed. They crashed into a tall pine tree, caught fire. They were not able to rescue them. You can see the picture shows it really burned intensely.
yeah.
McIntosh said Prosser was reportedly a licensed pilot. Meaning we don't really know if he was.
Yeah.
Okay. You hear these things, but you don't really, they're always somewhere else. But here you go, Jimmy Phillips, from out in Hogeye, won himself a Chevrolet Camaro in 1967.
If you know Fay Parnell, that was the uncle of Fay Parnell. If you know Fay Parnell. Sadie Atkinson, that was an uncle, Sadie Atkinson.
Hogeye, go out Moore Street, and till you hit almost, it's just shy of the Williamsburg County line.
Yeah, right.
I believe that if you follow Green Road, you'll cross it.
Yeah,
You'll cross Moore Street, and that's basically
and that's
Hogeye.
Hogeye,
little store there.
Yes, there's a little store there.
Yeah.
There are a couple of houses, several houses in
Yeah.
fact.
So that's not Moore's Crossroad.
No.
It's about 3 miles. That's where
No.
Al and Pam Williamson live in Hawkeye.
You what?
The Williamsons live in Hawkeye. Al and Pam Williamson
Oh, yeah.
live in Hawkeye as
He must be the mayor by now.
because his parents are now dead, so he's still out there.
Okay. This is the Baptist Church and the Girls Auxiliary, GAs.
Yeah.
Cake bearer.
I know. This is a fascinating view of what life was back then. I mean, could you do something like this today? I really don't think you could. You've got queens with scepters and scepter bearers, and Queen Regent and cape bearer. There you go, Sharon. Cape bearer. Ooh.
Somewhere I remember seeing a picture of that.
But all of those people that got involved, do you remember how many girls there were at that point in GAs?
I just remember everybody, all the big girls, but they all had to have white gowns.
Wow.
Full-length gowns, gloves. It was a very formal deal.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Responsibility.
Miss Myrtle Turner.
Yep.
There was the top line. She was very missional.
She was.
And in fact, the church ended up having a scholarship in her name for anyone going to seminary.
And I believe they still have that fund.
I wondered if
I know they have that fund.
I tapped into it once.
Yep.
How about that?
Still exist.
Pulling out. Now,
So
here we go.
The class of 1967.
And it was at the Pentecostal
Tabernacle.
Tabernacle.
Because that's 100. That's a fair-sized class for Lake City.
And Steve Altman. Douglas Best
Dan
was.
Coker,
Yeah.
Elizabeth Cockfield, still here.
Hey, Thomas Curry.
Now, I am interested in, I don't know this piece of history, Thomas Curry Jr., bottom left hand. Was he the first black graduate of Lake City High School?
It was
I've
about
certainly-
choice.
Huh?
It was about choice.
It may have been about choice,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, I don't recall any blacks being in the graduating classes prior to him.
I don't think so. I think he was the first.
Yep, very
Or
first.
one of the first. Okay.
And Lila Mae Gray is there,
Yeah.
is still here. John Preston Graham. Betty Jo Hutchinson.
Fontaine Fry. Okay.
Fontaine, I'll be darned. Yep, that's Fontaine, sure
Yeah.
enough.
Okay.
Okay?
Betty Jo
Betty Jo,
Hutchinson.
oh yeah. And
Does your cousin Bill? Martindale? Second row.
Herbie was on the other one.
There's your sister. Yeah.
Was a bad hair day.
The bottom row, yeah. All right. Give me back up. Jim Tommy.
Jim Tommy down there.
Yeah. Okay.
Sid Rittenbaker.
Diane Reel.
Now, there's Sid Rittenbaker on the second row.
Yes.
Yeah.
Margaret Farthing had the brick house
On Second Avenue.
Yeah. Right.
Marilyn lived in that house.
Okay.
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 This was the year that Talon came to Lake City.
Yeah.
You can see the plant still exists, though it's in bad shape
Bad
when you
shape,
pass by. You know.
And we had 2 plants in Lake City.
Yeah.
Now we don't have any.
Well, we do. We do have Nanyang.
That's right. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Bigger than both of them.
That, okay.
Okay. Captain Kent Lee from Scranton, South Carolina.
Coward.
I'm a coward?
Oh,
Excuse me.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You
Oh,
better get
my.
that right.
Oh, my. Ooh. Commanded the USS Enterprise. Now, I got to tell you, that is one heck of a job. I mean, people who were able to command aircraft carriers, creme de la creme as far as the Navy was concerned. I mean, I don't know much about him. Honestly, Kent's given me material I should have read.
He is Mrs. Ross Rollins' brother. That's Herb Rollins' nephew. Okay. Rosalind Rollins trying to get you in the same line, you know. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I'm truly impressed
yeah.
by this guy.
I mean, from a coward.
Yeah. Biblical.
Yeah, I mean,
anything good come from.
Yeah, from coward.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Lord. Okay. You hooked up?
Yep. I think I lost my little cover. This first, seemed like it was last in 66 that the first child was actually born, but they're giving them the certificate
Yeah.
at this point.
All right.
So,
It was late in 66, I think.
so none of it,
Yeah.
other than your birth certificate, your mother got a certificate.
Oh, God.
Well, that's only proper. I mean, she did all
Yeah.
the work.
She deserved a cake. She had become cake there.
Yeah, it says no other hospital was doing this.
Yeah.
Kathy, when did y'all move to town? I don't know. Marge, when did we move to town?
Say that again?
When did we move to town? What year did you come?
I came in 69, you came about 65,
Okay.
or 66.
Okay.
When did 86 start? 67, you must have come in 67. 86 opened in 67, so you didn't come in 67.
Before that.
Before that, possibly, yeah. We came in 69.
Okay. All right.
Greg Horn. Now, I wonder who started that. Surely not him.
Beer drinker.
I don't know the Horns.
No, I don't either.
Route to Lake City is, yeah, out 378 toward you, Bill. Isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't remember the Horns? Okay.
Okay. No. He's seen this picture before.
I've seen the picture, but it's a repeat of the Breakfast Club
Yeah.
that the South Carolina pilots did. Remember when Kathy Friddle had her little store, her little cafe out at the airport? They tried to do it. They tried to do it again. They tried to get it going. They actually had a couple of events where the pilots would fly into Lake City. They would have a meal and coffee and whatnot.
115 guests.
Yeah.
That's a bunch.
This is huge. 40 different
Yeah.
planes coming into that little airport. So it must have been a something.
And they transported them into town. Either went to Prosser's Cafe or the Mayflower on Sunday. I think it was a Sunday. That was unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is the beginning of the lake at Lake City. Dr. Jimmy Trula, isn't?
No, not that one.
No?
That's the watershed.
Oh, sorry. The watershed. Oh, this is Camp Branch. And
It had a lot of acres in it.
they're draining rather than filling.
113 farmers. Lynch's Lake and Camp Branch. Saw problems in drainage and flooding. They should have dug it deeper.
This is not one that...
Just I'm waiting Sharon to tell me. Okay. You okay? You tore it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, here we go, the Scranton Baptist.
It still works.
Oh, good. Okay. Former pastors have said $130,000 for the sanctuary, the new sanctuary. I'm not really sure that last paragraph, what he's talking about. The king has cautioned his flock against even whispering family secrets during service. I mean, what was his objection? The family secrets or the whispering?
Hey, if you sat beside Over Daniel, you didn't whisper.
Maybe it was. Kent, there's another good point. They built that church in 10 months.
10
Yeah,
months.
yeah,
And 273 members.
yeah.
It must be pretty much back when everybody went to church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kenny Lee, well, you didn't go to the church, did you? Yeah, okay. I thought you might have been converted.
67 football Panther team. Now, this is a little hard to see, but go Going across the bottom, Clayton Hazelton, Herbie Keefe, Kelly Lee, Danny Britt, and Johnny Singletary. And you see the second row, Randy Kirby, Jerry Lee, Henry Singletary, and Chip Brown. Gets a little confusing.
Weren't you in this? Weren't you in this one? Kenny? 68. Okay. That's your brother in the middle. Yeah, John.
Chip Brown, was that Kathy's brother out there?
Yeah, Martha Brown. Okay.
Okay. Now
It's the lake.
here's the lake.
Yeah.
This began November '67. Jimmy Trullo was one of the primary drivers in this.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how far they got into this. And the size that they were talking about. They were talking about building a lake that went all the way from basically where the Matthews Road is, all the way out
To
the
McLean.
east, behind all the houses that exist down Lake Dale and even beyond that.
To the McLean Road.
McLean Road, which is huge.
Yeah. 8th largest in the state.
Take 3 years to complete, 9 foot.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And it's going to be 655 acres.
Yeah.
That would have been a huge lake. But at no
Yeah.
point was it, somewhere it says it was, maximum depth was 10 feet. Which is deep enough to drown you.
Yeah.
But they had really great plans. It looks to me like they were trying to do something like Swan Lake Garden over in Archford with the flowers and the paths and the things like that. And that it wasn't just a body of water they were trying to create, but a real recreation area and flowers and
Swimming.
attraction.
Yeah.
It got the state approval. The State
Yeah.
Recreation and Tourism Commission endorsed it. And they were going, they estimated the price of at that point was roughly $1.8 million. What a deal
Yeah.
that would have been.
Oh, yeah.
Put drainage in there and done it real quick, like you didn't have to contend with the EPA back then.
Yeah, exactly.
They have to be careful what grain of dirt they move where now.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was a dam lake swamp 3 miles east of Lake City at McLean Road, as Kent points out, with an 1,800-foot earth and concrete dam.
That would be at the McLean Road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So all that water would back up and you would have a huge lake. As it says, it would go through Lake City city limits, out past Matthews Road.
Yeah.
So
1968.
Well, what happened to it?
they did get funding.
Yeah. I think the county wanted Harry. The county stopped it.
There's a political problem developed,
That's why
a political problem developed between the people who were pushing the lake and the county council.
Well, this time, there were a lot of people that were concerned because the ones that own property right next to it would go benefit, and some of the rest of them weren't going to benefit.
yeah. I think one of the early ones
Policy took over
One of the early ones said that 70 landowners would be affected by it, so, you know. But they had already given eminent domain. So the city had the ability to take the land.
I'm hoping that's recorded.
Yeah, me too.